Hi, welcome to Sugar Free. This is a one-off special reading looking at whether the UK is, England is entering a dictatorship. We have today the second largest city and its surrounding region, Manchester, being forced into top level COVID lockdown by central government in London. There have been negotiations over the financial support package, which the local leaders in Manchester have refused to accept. One figure I've seen is that it equates to about somewhere between £7 and £8 per head of the population of that area. This is rapidly, it appears, becoming a political issue, an issue of right and left. The government, the UK government, has a very, very strong majority at the moment. It's in a very, very powerful position. But like so many governments, it's finding this situation very difficult to handle. And there's clearly fragmentation and a degree of chaos unfolding. So we're going to get a statement in a few hours, supposedly in a couple of hours, from the Prime Minister to explain the situation. But it's looking like this top level lockdown with everything closed so people can't work is going to be imposed centrally from London on Manchester and its surrounding regions. So let's see what we get. Is the UK entering dictatorship? I hope not, obviously. Okay, we have the Hierophant in the upright. So this would, glad to see it in the upright, supposing he's got his good hat on. How wonderful. High Priestess in the upright. So we now have the High Priest followed by the High Priestess, both in the upright. Sun in reverse. Sorry about the light. Sun in reverse. That's general unhappiness. Judgment in the reverse. So I wonder whether there will actually be a staving off. Because it can be very useful for insecure and toxic institutions to keep the people they are controlling guessing, so that the masses are going, oh, they said this, or maybe they said that, maybe they're going to do this, maybe they're going to do that, what about this, I heard about that, blah, 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 like this. It keeps the drama bubbling amongst the plebs. Very useful tactic when you don't actually know what you're doing, and as an institution, as a controlling institution. Because if we boil it down into really simple terms, we've got the controllers and the controlled. Okay, and that's it basically. And if the controllers don't really know what they're doing, and their main aim, their main motivation is to retain control, keep power, then they're going to be actually be putting their attentions to trying to work out how they can stay in charge, rather than actually administering control and power. So because if they can't do that effectively, because what they're really interested in is finding ways and methods and techniques. And this can be applied to any situation: a company, an educational institution, a family. It's always like this. When the people ostensibly in charge, when the people in positions of power don't really know what they're doing, their main aim becomes finding ways to retain control in and of itself. The control becomes, having the power and keeping the power becomes more important than the exercise of it, because they don't know what they're doing. And as I say, one really useful thing they can do is keep those they are controlling, the controlled, guessing. So I wonder whether this is what Judgment in the reverse, whether this is what's actually going to be playing out. Moon in reverse. Okay, I would say if, and I do feel rather hopeful about this as effectively one of the controlled who doesn't want to be controlled any more than absolutely necessary. I do find it very heartening that we have the High Priest and the High Priestess out in the upright right next to each other. This is a good sign. This obviously, the Sun in reverse, is not such a happy place, but with the Moon in reverse coming out here, I wonder if tactics and communications that would be better kept hidden for those trying to keep a lid on this, basically the lid kind of slipping off and stuff slipping out, which happens all the time. I mean, we hear the most appalling things, some of it even absolutely incontrovertibly on record from our ineffective and morally bankrupt leaders. And yet they just carry on. It's incredible. It's incredible. In one lifetime, things that would have been resigned over by lunchtime are just ignored. It's just extraordinary. I'm just going to slurp some tea while I can. So the drinking of tea between 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. will no longer be permissible. Strength in the reverse, right? Oh man, I think I don't think there's going to be a clear decision today. This is my prediction now. As I say, we're supposed to be hearing the upshot. And there's talk of the army being deployed to be sent up to Manchester to make sure the pubs stay shut and the. I don't think there's going to be a decision. And I think, I mean, all these morally bankrupt leaders are essentially broken children. Most of them are the victims of childhood bullying and parental neglect, especially paternal neglect, and maternal. But yeah, maternal neglect. We had the Empress in the reverse yesterday. We had that for a couple of days on the trot. Maternal neglect and these kind of very difficult to please fathers. I think this is a time of entire populations being held to ransom by unhappy schoolboys. So strength in the reverse. The strength card is the imposition of the civilizing nature of the nice lady here over the wild creature, representing the inner rampant toddler of the soul. And this is card number 11 in the tarot cycle. This is the point at which the fool, who has started out on his journey, and the 0 card, the time at which it becomes apparent that if you're going to get anything done, you're going to have to mature. You're going to have to get hold of yourself, and that is the lady. Very, very kindly, very calmly, very quietly, in a way that doesn't harm the animal at all, taking charge of the situation. But it's in the reverse. So, yeah, sorry, the phrase cowardly lion is coming to my mind. Okay, the Chariot. The Chariot in the upright. Now, we've got the Chariot in the upright, the Hierophant in the upright, and the High Priestess in the upright. I think whatever is going on here is going to be fudged, as so many of these supposed clear decisions are by toxic, ineffectual leaders. It's a fudge. born out of their own weakness, really. It's tragic. It's truly tragic. And it is tragic in the Shakespearean, well, the Greek theatre sense of the word. Tragedy is not necessarily about some terrible thing happening to innocent people. That's part of the upshot of a tragedy, but the real nature of tragedy is disaster brought on by one's own weakness. And it is tragic what's unfolding for so many of us now in our own countries. But the fact that we have the high priest, the high priestess, and the chariot in the upright is a really, really good sign, juxtaposed with the sun, judgment, the moon, and strength in the reverse. So this card is the crowner. I don't believe it. I shuffled so much. I shuffled this way and that way, this way and that way. Empress in the reverse again. Again. This really is the story of poor mothering. And I don't think I would be, I don't think what I'm going to say now is against the rules because it is in the public domain. Our current Prime Minister's mother was removed from the family setup when he was, I think, under the age of 10. She had some sort of breakdown and was institutionalized, hospitalized, and never actually made it back into the family fold. I think there was then a series of nannies and au pairs and you know, pseudo mothers. If the mother is good, especially when it comes to boys, because it's boys who are going to grow into men, and under the current setup we have, it's the men who run things. That is changing a bit, but it is still essentially the men who set the way it is. And if women want to get into positions of power, we have to kind of play that game. It's men who set the game, play the game, set the rules of the game, and essentially play that game against each other to get to the top of the tree. If the mother is absent or ill or somehow unavailable, it has devastating effects on the psyche. Where men are concerned, it is all about the mother. And apart from New Zealand, Germany, and some of the Nordic countries, basically everywhere else it is men running the show. And wouldn't it be wonderful if they'd all had a good mother, a good, warm, present, loving mother? What we're going through now is the absent or ill mother and the upshot of that. But I have to say, the High Priestess is one card before the Empress. Wrong one. What's inside is the High Priestess. This is This is the card that comes after the Magician. So the first thing that the Fool does when they start on their journey is they move into then the position of the Magician, where they realise that they have agency, they have action, and they can do things. And that's why the Magician is pictured with all the tools and all the accoutrements and all of this. I can do this. I can channel energy into matter, which is what we all do. All the man-made things we see started off as an energy wave in the head, an idea, basically, which is then manifested into physical form. And that's magician power. The next card, straight away, is the High Priestess. And this is the wisdom of heaven, the Queen of Heaven there. And followed by Queen of the World, the Empress. So it goes from the inside to the outside. And the fact that the Empress is in the reverse here is, of course, it's never a good thing to see any of these cards in the reverse, really. Certainly not the Empress. I never like seeing the Empress in the reverse, but I like less when I see the High Priestess in reverse. But here she is in the upright. So Hierophant, High Priestess, and the Chariot. Now the Chariot also in the upright here. This is about the management of opposing forces. We've got the two horses, one of which wants to go this way, the other one of which wants to. So black, white, up, down, A, Z. This is dualities. This is about managing dualities in order to keep the show on the road, so to speak. And I'm very glad to see that in the upright as well. So my prediction would be, I mean, whether the UK is moving into a dictatorship or not, I think in my lifetime, in my 55-year lifetime, I have never ever seen a time where that looked more possible. And I've been a political animal all my life. I've lived through the power cuts, the 3-day week, the unions, Thatcher, the miners' strike, monetarism, New Labour, Tony Blair, the crash, all of it. Yeah, lived through all of it, watching all of it. I have never seen a time where democracy was more threatened than it is now. But I think for today, for this announcement that is scheduled for 5 o'clock today about whether England's second largest, most prosperous and populous city and region is going to be forced against its will into top level lockdown, I think it's going to be a fudge. Thank you for watching. Namaste.